crafty friends, this is the Papered Chef here, and today I'm going to show you how to cut up the inside and the outside of a stamped image using the Brothers ScanNCut. This time we're going to add a little distance on the inside when we cut it out, okay, a little from the edge, okay. And what we're using for this tutorial is the stamp set from Stampin Up called Basket Bunch. Really cute. It's retired, unfortunately, but it's really cute. So I'll just go zoom around and show you the images. Okay, so I'm trying to make some 3D baskets, and I wanted to have this one solid shape, and I wanted to have the little bunnies, you know, sticking out of the basket. So I wanted to have the middle cut out. Okay, so what I've done before, you know, before I started filming this, is I took this piece of Whisper White cardstock and I stamped the basket twice. I think this one's going to work out a little better because I have a little bit of overlap where the inside is touching. Okay, so the concept is, this is the concept. We're going to take a shape out of the inside of here. So we need to make sure when you stamp that your whole line is connected to your basket. So that when we take that shape out of the middle, okay, we're going to have a connection here. And it'll make more sense when I get started. So first of all, let's load the mat, okay? Okay, I have stamped the basket using Soft Suede, okay? Soft Suede ink. And I used Whisper White cardstock. One thing I always do after I load the mat, before I start scanning, is I use a bit of painter's tape to hold my mat down, to hold my paper to the mat, because the mats are not very sticky. And this has to be very precise. The thing I'm about to show you has to be very precise. Okay, first I'm going to select, I've turned on the machine. I'm going to select scan. I'm not going to directly cut, we'll do that later. We're going to do that later when we just want the outside of our basket. Okay, if you were to directly cut right now, you would just get this. You would get the outside of the basket. And we want that at the end. We do want the outside of the basket. But for now, we're going to scan to cut data because we want the inside of our basket. It is scanning, and then we're going to save the data to the machine. Then we're going to take the inside shape, and we're going to save that shape and cut it out. Okay, and just to let you know, I did try this with other stamp sets. I've tried it with Color Me Happy because I wanted to get the word thank you and try to do that with it. But instead, I ended up with a whole bunch of these, which are awesome. I ended up with a whole bunch of the, word thank, which I'm going to be coloring. But I couldn't get the inside to cut out because it was just too small to work with. I actually did it once, but it's not a process I want to try to repeat. So if you're going to do this, what I'm showing you, definitely use large images for this. All right, so here's our basket. You have three options. We're going to scan to cut data. We could either scan to cut data and save the outside of our image, but then we'd end up with this effect. And why would we want that? Because we can do that already with direct cut. We can do the inside and outside, which is what we want, or we could just save lines. Okay, we want the inside and the outside saved. I'm going to go ahead and select only the top basket. The other basket is for my backup plan if I have to do this video twice. I did stamp the basket twice. Okay, so I'm selecting just the basket on top. I'm going to go ahead and ignore objects smaller than 1/2 inch. So any stray little bits of the basket will not be selected. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. Where could I save it? I'm going to save it to this machine. I could also save it to a USB or to a computer if I was connected with a USB cord. But for now, it's probably best just to save everything to your machine, because the beauty of the Brothers ScanNCut is that you don't have to be hooked to a computer. All right, there we are. It's file 87. It's also going to be the last file in my memory because right now we're going to go ahead and say it's okay to delete all patterns. It's okay to delete everything on the screen right now because we're going to go ahead and retrieve our saved data. Okay, I'm going into pattern. I'm going to my saved data, and I'm going to go to my machine. I'm going to go backwards. I'm on page 1 of 10. Instead of scrolling through 10 pages, just go backwards. There's page 10. There's file 87, and let's say OK. Feel free to rewind this as many times as you need to understand this concept. I'm saying OK again. Okay, and you still can't see it very well, so let's go ahead and go into this editing mode. It's the one with all of the shapes. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom into my basket. 200%, even more. Let's zoom in. There. 400%. Okay, you can see that? What I'm going to do right now is get rid of everything except that middle shape. So let's try to get the outside shape. Is that it? It's pretty good. Let's get rid of that. Put that over there. Let's see if that's good. We'll get rid of that piece. You have to be careful not to get rid of the wrong thing. Yes, perfect. Okay, see what I did here? I want that inside shape. I'm not really getting rid of these yet. I'm moving them off to the side. The reason is it's a lot easier to zoom in and move them off to the side than it is to try to do it when you're in the editing mode when it's not zoomed in, because then the objects are really tiny. I am going to now zoom back out. I'm going to delete all these little bits because we're not trying to cut those. We're going to be trying to cut that shape there. Okay, I'm deleting them with the trash can, hitting the trash. Just be sure not to delete the little basket. Just delete the others. There. You want the little basket in the middle, the little hole. Okay, here's the key now. We want to scale this down. So the reason is, okay, all it really is a shape, okay? Thank you. I'll be there in a minute. Okay, this is a shape. We want to scale the shape down. We're going to go into this resize, okay? And we're going to scale it down. And what I did is I did about like 1/10 of an inch, and it seemed to work. So if the height was 1.36, I went down to say 1.26 when I was trying this. And it seemed to work fine. Be sure that your width and height are staying in proportion to each other. And that was a good amount to give me a little inside border. Okay? If they're not staying in proportion, if you're changing this and this is not changing, then be sure to toggle, because this button toggles the proportion. You want to stay in proportion. When you scale one, you scale the other. All right, we're ready. The nice thing about this shape scaling down in size is it's scaled relative to its location. So it's going to be a smaller shape that we're cutting out on the same part of the screen. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. OK once again. OK, and cut. Okay, we're going to just start it. And now I'm cutting the inside of my basket just a little bit smaller, and it came out good. Okay, I cannot show you it right now because we need to cut out the outside of the basket, and I don't want to take this off the mat. But I can actually pop, what I can do is I can pop out my shape. So you believe me, no trickery happening here. Okay, I got this little shape. There's my little shape, okay. Pop that out of the basket. Now, what I need to do now is go home, say okay, and I'm going to go to pattern. I'm sorry, go home, and I'm going to go to scan, direct cut, okay? We are directly cutting out the basket, okay? I'm going to go ahead and say start. So now what we're doing, just so you know, we're cutting out the outside of the basket. What I did in the steps earlier is I showed you the inside of the basket, how to cut that out. Now we're cutting the outside of the basket. I usually just use a small outline distance, but for this example, I used a little wider outline distance. I'm gonna say okay. I'm gonna zoom into the basket. And I'm going to add an outline distance. Okay, I usually just use 0.4, but this time 0.08 will be better because I made it a bigger outline distance on the inside and I want the outside to match that. All right, and I usually just ignore object size again, just in case there's any stray bits. We're not gonna wait for stray bits to cut. It's not a matter of really, you know, it's not a problem if you don't ignore them, but you have to wait for them to cut. And you don't want to have to wait for stray bits. So it's good to ignore object size. All right, I just did a couple things there and hope you followed along. I'm ready to cut. I may have hit a couple buttons without saying what I was hitting, but if you watch this video again, you're going to be able to see exactly what I did. Okay, and now what I just did is I cut out the outline. Awesome! And there's a little stray. Let me just snip that a little bit. There was a little stray piece of paper, which is not a problem. But I will fix that little piece. That's just a matter of it got caught on the blade a little bit. But there we have the inside and the outside of the basket cut out with the Brother Scan and Cut. Now, if you look at this little bunny, that's my goal, is the little bunny is going to be popping out of the middle of my basket. So be sure to check out my blog at thepaperchef.com and you can see what I actually make with these projects that I've been cutting out all night in time for Easter. All right, please let me know if you have any questions about this tutorial, and thank you for watching. See you next time.